Pub Table Racers, the date today is January 25th. That means we are almost into February, and February starts racing season. That's right, sweet week. No weeks, just a week. My name's Tim Packman. Sitting next to me is my co-host, co-owner of Pub Table Racers, one, the only,
Warm Rochelle.
thank you very much for remembering the name. We appreciate it. Bucket of beers in front of us. Why is that?
Because we like to sit here, drink beer, and talk about racing. Talk with people who've been in racing.
Miss Miller highlight because we're good.
Still in racing.
Bobby Elson.
Not racing. Anybody
Racine.
from Wisconsin. Racing.
You got a drink.
I don't drink.
You told me it's bad. Speaking of Bobby, I got to hang out with him Friday night at the National the NASCAR Hall of Fame induction, and Bonnie and Donnie Allison, his wife, so it was pretty cool. Talk about that in a minute. Tonight's show is brought to you by nobody, because we are unsponsored right now, and we are taking your calls and questions and how you can be. This could be, let's say, Joe's Bar and Grill,
Right.
Studios.
Anybody's studio right now.
And we're very affordable, and we're fun, and it doesn't cost a lot. Get in touch with me.
We
I'll reach
could
out to
be,
people.
We could be High Rock Vodka
Right.
Studios.
And if you become a sponsor, we'll give you a free hat. Why not? Speaking of hats
We will.
and tumblers, and what else do we have over there? Hat, tumblers. Oh, and stickers.
I'll
stickers.
give him the bucket.
No, that's ours. It's been since show
I
one.
can
We can't
make
do
it
that.
known.
We have that. So please, if you could go on to our website, pubtableracers.com, click on merchandise, check out all the cool products that we have. We have hats, tumblers, T-shirts that you have on.
Shirts.
I think we have enough logos going here tonight. Look at, we are logoed up.
Stickers.
Good stickers.
Free sticker with every
purchase. Every item purchase gets a free sticker.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, we're not desperate. We just want to make you happy.
And we got a lot of stickers.
And beer isn't free, so we need that support. So we thank you for that. Our guest tonight is Kelly Crandall. We'll be bringing her up in a minute. We'll talk about her great credentials. She's currently the president of the National Motorsports Press Association, which is kind of a big deal. And we'll talk to her about her coming from Spotswood, New Jersey, into the NASCAR world. Real quick, we'll talk about the Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame. Let's go there.
So I went there Friday night. I was the +1 for Bonnie Allison, which, that was great. We sat with, Bobby and Sissy and then Donnie and his wife. And I'm going to say something. It's just so cool to sit there amongst the history and all those greats and, Hall of Famer and just seeing everybody. And it's just such a good thing. And Red Farmer's speech was incredible. Like his notes, like the teleprompter in the back, it said 1959, first race. That's all he had. All the rest came from his head. At 89 years old, he rambled off his entire career. He had some great lines, some funny stories, and it was from here that he did it. And it was incredible. And then Mike Stefanik's wife, she got there and she did a great job with her speech. And at the end, she brought out a Jack and Diet, which she always drank. So she had it underneath, and she did that.
Did you sign the petition?
I did.
I did too.
I did, and I don't think we needed to because the other inductee named Dale Jr.
Yep.
He, put his 2 cents in, and all of a sudden, hey, you know what? We might want to change our mind.
I think that's a good idea. Let that woman talk.
But there's only 3 inductees now in the past. There was 5.
Right.
And then I was thinking to myself, oh God, 3 inductees, what a ripoff! All these guys, we gotta get in 5. And as I'm at the ceremony, I'm like, 3's not bad. I get it. 3's good. And then the special
because
awards.
They're, pretty soon
Sure.
you're going to run out of people
Exactly.
who really deserve it.
Yes,
or,
and that's good. But I thought the ceremony was great.
They'll
And,
get to me pretty soon. We don't need that.
we'll go in together as Pub Table Racers. There we go.
As
We,
Daytona champions.
It was just so neat to be. I appreciate the history of the sport, and you sit there and like I always say to myself, I'm a lucky little kid from Buffalo, but just to be part of that and see all that was just really cool.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the next night, Dale Jr. had a party to celebrate his Hall of Fame induction, and it was held at the Fillmore in Charlotte. Great to see a lot of people we worked with at Dillon Incorporated. Drivers, Ricky Craven was there, and Jimmy Means was there, and it was just Jeff Clark was there, and Kelly and the whole family was there, and it was just neat to be around them and other people we haven't seen in a while, and the stories we were all telling, and it was really nice. And
Tim went, I didn't, which is good.
the only reason I went was I was a +1 again.
Right.
Yeah, I don't get invited to these things.
The only reason I didn't because I had to watch the Packers score 10 points and lose a football game.
Right.
No, plus I wasn't invited.
I'm the plus one guy. So if anyone needs a plus one, apparently I'm the guy. I'm like the bullpen of plus
Call
one.
him in.
That's it. Let's take Tim. 'Cause
Hey,
what the hell?
you got a plus one? Oh yeah, we got one.
But I guess
Maybe you could do it through Pub Table Racers.
Sure.
I'll
Yeah, we'll be each other.
I
Yeah.
almost said
Don't
that
say
H
it.
word.
Don't say it.
I'll H him out.
But the thing about Dale Jr., and I'm not going to pretend I'm best friends with him, but you've been around the guy for 20-something years. You notice, the transitions in life, and we worked with him, and he was happy. He was just so happy and he was enjoying what was going on. He enjoyed the Hall of Fame. His speech was great. He touched on various things, and it was very sincere. And at the party, I noticed he was just enjoying himself.
Yeah.
It's like he wasn't getting mobbed. People stopped for pictures here, but he just got to enjoy the whole thing. And the musical entertainment, nobody knew who it was. Like 3 or 4 people knew. And he didn't even know, so they called him up, and his wife, Amy, who inducted him and, presented for the Hall, thought that was great. She said, "Oh, I got told to do that." I go, "Oh, okay." But at least, it's pretty cool they asked you to do it. So he has no idea. They hand him a piece of paper. He opens it up and he goes, "Oh, no." He goes, "All right, we're going to do this. We're going to do it together." He opens a piece of paper. "Ladies and gentlemen, Dwight Yoakam." We're like, "No shit." Sorry, Joe. I'll watch Dwight Yoakam. Plays an hour and a half, and it was great. So it was just a good time to see all that.
Cool.
That was it. Today when they announced stiffer penalties for the next gen car. You, as someone who works on the cars, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I'll say it like this. If they stay true to what they're saying, I'll believe it when I see it.
Okay.
Because I'm not saying they don't penalize people like they used to anymore.
Right.
No, yeah, I am.
No, they're serious. Oh, okay.
And in order to get this back where it needs to be, you have to make example out of people. And if you don't, it's gonna get wild again. It's gonna be the Wild West, as we call it.
Perfect. I hope they do, because the penalties are pretty stiff. You get to the L3, I'd be
Well,
shaking
it
my
turns
boots.
into not, it becomes not worth it
Right.
to do certain things,
And that's what they get to.
and that's the way it should be.
Good. So that's about it. What else news? Oh, they're testing in Phoenix.
Testing in Phoenix.
My cousin's out there. He went to the track. He sent me a video. The sound of those is so unique. It's way different.
Yeah. So if you think about it, our exhaust
Right.
was coming out. Both sides of the motor was coming out the same side of the car. Now it's split. You got one on the infield and one on towards the stands.
Right.
And when they're alone, I'll say this, when it's just a single car and you only hear half the motor because you're either on the inside or you're on the outside, it's very unique. It almost sounds like they're not running properly because you can't hear the other side.
Yeah.
And there's no balance too between the between the exhausts. I don't want to get too technical, but yeah, it's when they all get out together, when they run in a pack or when they run together. What I noticed at Daytona test was it was super loud.
Good. That's what you want, right?
Excitingly loud.
Yeah.
Manly loud.
Manly loud.
Not.
But chicks dig it too.
Really not that California Coliseum friendly loud. So we'll see how that goes.
Nicely done. That was a very nice. Wow.
You can't idle your big rig out there.
No, I get
There's
it.
no generators allowed out there.
Nothing. It's going to be interesting. So we'll have a show tonight. We're going to skip a week, and then when we come back, we'll be after the Busch Lake Clash at LA Coliseum, so we'll get to hear all your opinions on that.
Right.
My sister Geraldine says tickers. Yay. She loves tickers. All right, so we bring tickers. We call them tickers.
Okay.
That's it. Let's bring our guest up.
Yeah, let's do it.
This woman is from Spotswood, New Jersey. She is a writer for Racer Magazine. She's a 2-time George Cunningham Writer of the Year award winner. She's currently the president of the National Motorsports Press Association, which I think is pretty damn cool. And she can also be heard on Sirius XM NASCAR Radio, filling in here and there. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Kelly Crandall. How you doing?
I'm good. Well,
There we
good
go.
Cheers.
now.
Good.
So,
There you go. Good now. So Kelly says, "I'm not a beer drinker. Just give me something with vodka and fruity." I said, "Well, there you go."
Deep Eddie.
Hey, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for coming.
thanks for having me.
So, your story, because I've talked to you about this before, your story is so unique how you got into the sport. And really, it's a testament of perseverance. And people might have said you were nuts back then for doing it, but just share with the people what got you interested in how you kind of got here quick?
Well, my mom said I was nuts. She didn't know that there was money in doing this, which there's not, by the way.
Not a lot, but yeah.
She was very much against it, didn't understand it, but I guess perseverance is a good word. It's a lot about networking too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of fitting, actually. You have a poster or a stand-up of Dale Earnhardt Sr. back here because that's really what brought me to the sport. So,
Really?
His death in 2001, my dad was a casual fan by then. Always watched the 500, right? Like casual football fans watch the Super Bowl.
Sure.
Right.
So he was watching that day, and all I heard after that was about Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s passing and going back to Daytona and that first race, what it was going to be like in July. So that was the first race I watched, was the July 2001 race at Daytona.
And you know how that finished?
That was all it took to hook me. So, and then by
Michael Waltrip,
the speed, the sound, under the lights, the story of that race, that's what hooked me.
You're living in New Jersey at this time?
Yes.
Were you still in high school?
I was in 2001. No, I was only 11.
Oh my God! All right.
I was only 11 at that
I was
time.
at the race in Victory Lane,
I was at Lancaster.
and I was
Senior.
30-something.
Yeah. You had a much better view than I did then.
I was
that's
working
for
at
sure.
NASCAR.com as a writer. And you're right, there wasn't a whole lot of money in that.
Right, there's
Now we
that.
got that.
Okay, now that we know we're at there. Whew, okay. Did you bring your lunchbox with you tonight?
I'm really glad
That's
that
awesome.
at that point in time that there was someone 11 years old watching that race, that it turned him into a fan.
Oh yeah, that was all it took.
Okay.
I tell people,
and you had the drug then.
yeah, I tell people that what happened was I sat down and watched that race, and the way that I remember, and I might be embellishing it, or my memory might be wrong, or or all of the
You're
family's
right,
memory.
yeah.
But the way I remember it was I sat down in front of the TV in a beanbag chair and didn't move the entire night
Yeah.
because that was all it took.
Amazing.
So.
So from there, you started when the writing bug hit you.
Well, the writing bug didn't hit me until I was in high school. So
Okay.
when I became a fan, I got really, I guess you would say, obsessive with it. I became one of those people that I don't like going out and socializing anyway. I'm more of an introvert. So it was a perfect excuse for me to stay home. Oh, practice is on, qualifying's on,
Oh.
the bush race is on. I got to be home. I have to watch all of this.
Nice.
So
okay.
I watched everything. I read everything. I wanted to know everything. So by the time that I got into high school, to make a long story short, got into high school, and that's when English classes were always my favorite. I felt like I was good at that. My teachers were always very complimentary of me. So when I was a sophomore in high school, I was told by an English teacher, why don't you write for the school newspaper? So at that point, I was like, well, maybe I can combine these two
I'm gonna
things.
throw a
Writing-
NASCAR comment.
yeah, writing and racing, and yeah, I was that person that was writing about NASCAR stuff and doing NASCAR presentations and I had a computer class at one
In
point in
New
high
Jersey.
school. Yeah, in New
And,
Jersey.
and the kids were like,
Oh, right, because
Yeah.
I'm telling. So I was in a computer class, and I don't know why I took a computer class, but I was in a computer class
I
in
had
high
an
school.
abacus class.
And that was when they're teaching you how to do like HTML and like
Yeah.
build a basic web page.
Right.
And I was
Okay,
like,
yeah.
I'm gonna build a NASCAR page.
and you called it?
That was me.
Perfect. Did you build one?
So, I mean, I tried to.
Okay. got it. All right. So as you're down, so as you go to college and you went for communications in Pennsylvania, correct?
Yes.
When did you start making your inroads into the NASCAR writing community?
In college.
Okay.
Because
How did you do that?
So when I was in college, I think early on when I was in college, I was on Facebook, and Facebook would run ads on the side of the screen at that time, the way the layout was. And there was an ad that caught my attention. It said, this is going to sound really narcissistic, but it said, "Are you a NASCAR expert?"
Yes.
And I was like,
I am
okay,
now.
what is this, like a quiz, or is it, what is this? So I clicked on it. It took me to BleacherReport.com.
Oh,
Because
okay.
at that time, anybody could sign up and create a profile and write for BleacherReport.com.
Wow.
For free.
For free.
For free.
Literally anybody could create a profile and you could post whatever you
That
wanted.
was really early in that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So
which is cool.
I was one of the early ones on BleacherReport.com.
Wow.
So I just started self-publishing. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no access. But I started just self-publishing whatever I could based off of what I was watching or seeing on social media. And then through social media, when I was in college, that's when Twitter really started to take off, because Brad Keselowski was posting from his race car.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what people are like, what's he doing? Yeah.
So Twitter started to take off. So when I was in college, I would self-publish and use social media as my networking.
Good.
And that's how I started to make connections in the sport and get attention. And then from there, it was just working my way to write for whoever I could write for.
But your focus was, this is what I'm going to do. And
Oh,
this
yeah.
is exactly what I'm going to do.
I was very, very tunnel visioned
Got it.
from the very beginning.
So
of
we've
what I
talked,
wanted
because
to
when I was in Buffalo State,
Yeah.
when I went back at 28 years old, that's all I did was write, and they'd say, Tim, you got to find something else. Or, Tim, you got to think about trying something. Tim, you got to write something
No.
something else. And my writing journalism professor, when I published Bobby Ellison book, I sent him one. I said, I'm still thinking about trying to write something else. But in the meantime, I hope you enjoy my book. And I saw him when I went to Buffalo one time, and he goes, "You're still a smart ass, but congratulations." He says, "I was actually very proud of you." And I thought,
I
so
was
to hear listen
very,
to you say that,
very tunnel
Yeah.
vision. I would go to class, and then at that time, NASCAR Media was doing more with what was considered citizen journalists,
Yeah, I remember that.
right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that I was around for that. So by that time, I got a login and a credentials to the NASCAR Media site,
Right.
so I could start calling in to the teleconferences.
and asking questions.
And for the longest time, I would just listen.
Sure.
But then after a while, when I started getting the confidence, I would start asking questions. So I was doing all of that while I was in
So
college.
who was the first person you asked a question of? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I know Jamie McMurray was an early one.
Okay.
I don't know if
Okay.
he was the first one, but
Yeah.
he was an early one.
Do you remember the question?
No.
Okay.
No.
So when you made your inroads, so when did it start to pick up and become a paid, like a job type?
Oh man, it took a while.
Yeah.
I was under the false impression that I would graduate and have a degree and then people would come knocking on my door. And that's not how it works.
Sorry, but yeah, here's reality.
That's
yeah.
not how it works. So I graduated college, moved back home, and then after a while realized, well, I have to pay the bills, so I better get a job. So I became a teacher for 3 years.
I thought you were going to
Still-
say $3 an hour.
No.
Because that's about what it pays.
I would say I think it was about 3 years, all the while still self-publishing,
Sure.
trying to network. In 2014, I talked myself into a friend's spare bedroom so I could move to North Carolina.
Right.
And I
Here we
moved
go.
to North Carolina, and that's when I started making money from my writing.
Here's the couch story.
Couch story.
No, it's not a couch story.
Oh,
It's not
okay.
a couch. But the first money I started making from my writing was $400 a month.
$400
A month.
A month.
Good thing you had a roommate.
Yes.
And what else were you doing here?
How are those ramen
Nothing.
noodles?
Thankfully, we had an agreement to
Okay.
where I helped out a lot with things that she had
Okay.
going on,
Right.
and
Okay.
I would drive everywhere and
Okay.
help with the apartment and stuff.
Where-
And that was our agreement that I didn't have to pay for anything because I was only making $400 a
Yeah,
month.
okay.
Where were you at in North Carolina?
Huntersville.
Okay.
Huntersville.
Yeah.
See, we started out in Concord.
Yes.
For reasons we won't go into, we're not allowed back in Concord.
Okay. All right.
That's
It's not that
all.
kind of show, huh?
No.
Definitely can't go in the post office.
that would be.
All right.
Have you seen these?
That would be 3 buckets of beer, Kelly.
Oh, all right. Keep
So
drinking.
when you started, when you noticed it, like, oh, you're catching on, you're getting to know people, and you're networking, and then when you got your first big job was.
Well, again, I mean, I came down here in 2014 and I started working for, at that time, Popular Speed, which no longer exists.
Mm-hmm.
And I was making $400 a month, but I was getting to the racetrack because I had a lot of people in the industry that I had networked with and made friends with that for them it was a pay it forward type deal. So we were cramming in hotel rooms and I was,
Like
just
caddies on the golf course.
doing what I had to do to get to the racetrack. So started with Popular Speed. I would say that was my big thing, just in the sense because it got me to the racetrack.
Got it.
And you're traveling.
And I was traveling, and
So
I was here, and I was doing it.
You're doing Miami Air or something like that.
Oh no, driving everywhere.
Driving everywhere.
So the West Coast was out.
No, yeah, West Coast was out.
Okay.
But like you go to Atlanta. Probably.
Sure.
Yeah, I would do everything close to home.
Yeah.
Now if we were crazy enough, we would road trip. We did road trips to Kansas. We did it to Texas and places like that. But that was about as far as
Like
we
a
would
big
go.
van or something. Bunch here or something.
Just SUVs.
Okay.
Yeah. We made it work.
Who are some of the other people that you were doing this traveling with? Are they still in the sport? Did someone?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Matt Weaver and I were at Popular Speed together. I mean, he did his own
and
thing.
He's now the editor-in-chief of RacingAmerica.com.
He is. So I would mostly travel with Jerry Jordan, Chris
Now
Knight.
kicking the tires.
There's a few
Catch
people
fence,
that are no
yeah.
longer in the sport
Yeah.
anymore, but those were the biggest ones.
And
Yeah.
you're still in it. And was it Chris Knight just became part owner of Catch Fence? I read.
I believe so, yeah.
You saw, and Jerry owns Kicking the Tires. So, of that group of you,
So as you know, Tim, it was literally because not a lot of we're not all from major outlets, right?
Right.
So we are scraping pennies, and we're like, okay, if we have to squeeze in hotel rooms and carpool together, that's what we're gonna do. So, I mean, we're driving everywhere. I mean, I can count maybe on one hand the number of times I've been on an airplane to go to a race.
Okay.
And you're going to the media center, and when they put the snacks out, you're like.
I mean, I wasn't that bad, but yeah.
Some people
Having all these
have.
crackers.
Some people have.
Oh, Lance crackers are gone over here.
Listen,
Yeah, put this pizza in your briefcase.
some people have, and I'm not dissing that,
right.
but yes, it certainly helps that there is food at the racetrack to eat
Yeah,
during
I'm
the
sure.
day.
Nabisco, right?
Yeah, I'm not. I try to not complain about free racetrack food. I'm like, you know what? That doesn't look like the most appetizing, but it's free. I might need some heartburn pills.
It's been sitting here a day. I got it. All right.
Right. I was so glad when Martinsville was sponsored by Goodies. I'm like, I'm gonna need some of those.
For those hot dogs, you do. Jeez. And then you go to Atlanta where QT stocks up everything.
Oh my!
The donuts and the food, and you're like, oh, man.
That was the worst
Yeah.
decision ever
Yeah.
for me,
Yeah.
at least.
All right.
All right, so then you started getting. So then, where did we're gonna start taking your questions? By the way, at 8:30. I'm sorry, I forgot to say at 8:30. New thing we're doing here because we want Kelly to have her time and talk to us because she has a great story of perseverance and just so
we're only
focused.
scratching the surface.
Yeah, I understand. But so at 8:30 we'll start taking your questions and comments. So there's a few here right now. Oh, Tom Beatty, our #1 fan from Jersey. He says, "Cool Jersey girl in the pub."
Oh yeah.
So we'll give you that there. You go.
Cheers.
I love it.
Yeah,
You can't take the jersey out of the. I mean,
No.
I'm crazy and obnoxious if you can't tell.
He was
That's
running out too. Fly, Eagles, fly.
His Fleagles, Eagles flew out of there playoffs. So you started picking up, and then you're doing the traveling. And
Yep.
when did you feel like you finally arrived? When did you feel like you were part of the NASCAR landscape?
I mean, there's some days where I still don't think I have, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah.
Kelly,
Yeah, there's some days where
you're
I'm
the
just.
two-time George Cunningham Writer of the Year award winner.
Honest to God, there's times where I still sit here and I'm like, have I really done anything?
Oh my God.
Yeah. But to answer your question, I'll say that when I started to feel, let's put it this way, when I started to feel comfortable, 2015, 2016, because like I said, I was starting to add more races. I had a hard card. I felt like people knew who I was.
You get a hard card, that's it. You're good.
Yeah, you know,
So
and
you
that
made
made
it.
that made me feel good, right? Like I felt
Especially
accepted.
you get the little media sticker. I never got those.
So I felt accepted. So I, you know, again, I felt like people knew who I was. So that I would say that's when I started to feel comfortable and feel like, okay, maybe I have a place here.
So, and from there, what was your next?
So I
Couple jobs
left.
from there.
Well, depending on who you ask, I quit and or was fired from Popular Speed.
You quit. You moved on.
I quit.
I'm going to give you that.
Yes,
Yeah. Of
yeah.
course, the jilted one you left says, "Ugh."
Somehow in this sport, no matter what part of it you work in, you weren't really quit.
And there's
you
a
were
lot
fired,
of-
or
I was
you were
fired twice, but
you
that's
were
it.
fired, or you really quit.
Yeah.
You know.
There's a lot of stories and stuff I won't go
Wishy-washy.
into.
Yeah, it's all in the past.
That I won't go into. But
Right.
so I left Popular Speed in June of 2016
Okay.
and had nothing because it was just very sudden, very abrupt. But it was just time to move on. But so I had nothing. I woke up the next day. And I posted on Twitter something about, you know, this is the first time in a long time. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what's next, yada, yada. And NBC Sports came calling. And,
not bad.
I mean, we had previous conversations, not extensive conversations,
Right.
but I guess I was on their radar. I certainly would have loved to have gone work for them. So once they knew that I was really available, you know, they reached out, I reached back out, we kind of got back together and was like, all right, let's see if we can make this happen. So it became I joined them and it was a part-time thing and it was only supposed to be for a couple months because they needed some help.
How many years later?
No, it turned into, I think I joined them in, I want to say July,
Right.
after the Daytona race. I think Kentucky Speedway, when Kentucky was after Daytona back then.
Yeah.
That was my first weekend. So again, it was only supposed to be for a couple months. It turned into, I made it to the end of the year
Good for you.
with them. But I knew deep down, okay, I don't know if this is going to turn into anything serious. They couldn't promise anything. They were very, very good about being upfront with me.
Good.
So that's when I started looking around, and there was Racer.
Racer Magazine,
Racer.com, Racer Magazine.
Do you guys?
which covers everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you guys find, and because I hear from both of you some of the same scenarios of these outlets that you have to, when you're writing, that you have to entertain, that they're kind of wishy-washy like that they're kind of like, you're worried about them not like it not being a complete full-time job.
You
all
can be
the
the
time.
flavor of the day.
Right, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's kind of
Yeah.
like, you know, when I sign up at Penske, it's like, there's a work agreement, and
Yeah.
I'm good to go for a year, and it's, you know, it's like a done deal. You know what I mean? And every time I know Tim does this, or, you know, I don't know how much you've done it, but it's like it sounds really good, and it's going good for him, and then, you know, it kind of goes down a little bit, and it comes back up, and it goes down, and it's very roller coastery. It's really got to play with your emotions.
Sure, but
right?
the worst part is we could take a lot of time and effort and tweak and send in this great article, this great piece.
Yeah.
And there's some editor who doesn't know diddly about it, and he chops it up, and you're like, you're missing the whole point. You're like, and now you're like, no, that's why this is in there. And
when you were saying editor, I thought there was going to be an A.
No,
I thought it was
or sound producer, whatever.
Right.
And that's the tough part, because like, I grew up in it, you grew up in it, you've been into it, you know, as long as you. There's an understanding. There's something that people on the other side of the fence, I like to say, in the stand, they want to know what we know.
Mm-hmm.
They want us to share it with them. That editor-producer guy doesn't really get
Well, that's what makes social media so great, right?
Yes, exactly.
Because we have the ability to post stuff. Like, I always tell people, the reason that pictures and videos and Twitter and everything is so popular is because people can go and see what we're seeing.
Yeah.
Not everybody can get in the
Exactly.
garage.
Yeah.
So even if you post a simple picture of a paint scheme, it's like there's nothing, you don't think there's anything special to that picture. Just a picture of a race car, but you having that access and sharing it with a race fan, they want to click on it, and they want and they want to see it.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Like these things now have those gimbals you can use, and you can be like a walk-around reporter.
Well,
Yeah,
now it
obvious,
just is escalated to you have to be a one-stop shop, basically.
And I actually taught myself on iMovie how to edit on.
Oh, so you're ahead of me then. Congratulations.
Yeah,
I have no idea how to do
did
that.
that on music. I figured that out by myself. It's just a little something different, but you know, at 57, you try to keep up with the kids because like, hey, you use social media? Yeah, I can do it. You know, Hootsuite. But
Well, congratulations.
I don't
I
know
can
about
barely
that.
hit the power button on my laptop. How about that?
But yet she is.
I thought we've been doing pretty good here at social
Right.
media for 57.
Real quick, hey Cruz,
56.
hey Cruz, buddy, what's up? Congratulations on your second place, go-kart racing.
Oh, nice.
Cruz, 5 years old.
Five.
5 years old. 5 years old.
Get her done.
He's got the bug like you won't believe. He's
All
crazy.
right.
Oh no. Yep. Yep. I'm gonna set aside some sponsorship money someday for that kid, I think, or it could be his agent.
There you go. Get in now.
Yeah. Okay. So when you Racer Magazine, been there for how long?
How long I've been there? I joined them in December of 2016 and really hit the ground running with them in January of 2017.
And they cover everything.
Oh, they cover everything.
So
Oh,
who's the other NASCAR writers? You and
Nobody. It's
nobody.
me.
It's kind of good though, right?
It's me. It's my world, and they let me play in it and cover the sport as I see fit because as they say, I'm the one that's in it. I know what needs to be done. And I mean, granted, you know, listen, it's not like I have free reign of the place. They'll check in, of course. They're like, hey,
Sure.
why don't we have this or, you know, change this or whatever. But for the most part, I get to cover the sport as I see fit. So.
How much stuff? How many articles or how much stuff do you have to get in a month?
There's no number.
No quota for
So you
you.
could
No,
like
there's no
4 1
quota.
week, 2, and then 6, but once racing starts.
Yeah, I mean, look, the off season, I could go a week without writing anything, which I hate to do, but if there's nothing, there's nothing. And then there's times where, during race season, it might be something every day. There might be something every other day. It's
So you outpour stuff that M&A might go, no, yes, no, yes, right?
It's very, very rare.
Is it like
where
that?
I'll,
You know what I mean?
No, it's very, very rare that I'll file something and they'll be like, we don't need that. So.
I'm just
that-
saying,
that
how
rarely
much
happens.
space did they give NASCAR in that magazine?
It's a lot of it's online.
You know what I mean?
Well,
If you have a whole
I'm
magazine
only,
full,
I'm only
sure.
on the website.
Oh,
They haven't
okay,
used me for the
okay,
magazine.
okay.
Right.
I mean, there's NASCAR stuff in the magazine, but they haven't used me
So
for
she's
it.
Okay.
online. I should say.
Yeah.
Um,
But it's a great magazine.
So they can
Check it
post
out.
all. So they can post all your stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
so Ian Moy from Penske
Yeah.
says Kelly is one of the good ones. She's paid her dues and worked her way to the top. A real inspiration. P.S. He was 11 in 2001 as well.
Nice.
Thanks, Ian.
I'll bring that up to you
Nice.
tomorrow. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Ian's another one who worked his way through some
Yes.
pretty goofy times. I'm ready to work my way through some goofy times again too. I won't go in depth about that, but call me if you need.
Wait, can I tell a funny story real
Please
quick?
do.
Absolutely.
So again,
That's why we're here.
I'm all in with racing, right? Like
Yeah,
I'm still in middle. I was in middle school, and I don't know if they still have. I haven't seen them, so I don't know if they're still a thing.
Lunchboxes?
No, you remember those big like twill driver jackets?
Yes.
Like
Stitched
heavy,
all over. Yeah.
heavy jackets,
Yep.
right? And like it was a exact replica of the driver fire suit.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I had one of those. I wore it to school.
Who was it?
Who was it?
Here's the problem of who it was.
Go ahead.
I'm in middle school.
Okay.
I
know where this is going.
Was it red?
It was Budweiser.
Yeah.
How'd that go over?
I'm pretty sure, as my
Did
memory
they make you wear it
recollects.
inside out or say
No, as my memory recollects, and again, I might be embellishing, but I am pretty sure, as I remember it, there was an announcement over the PA system about remembering what is appropriate school attire.
Kelly Crandall in your Budweiser jacket.
Yeah.
But the kids thought it was cool, right? Yes, no.
I mean, maybe the ones that knew what it was, but I don't remember growing up with a lot of race fans around.
Sure.
To be honest
So,
with you.
and you know what they did with those? Like, you could get one that looked just like the Budweiser jacket, but it's a Dale Jr. on it.
Right.
Well, that used to be in the video games too.
You know?
Right.
In the early, I think, EA
Yeah.
Sports video games, because I would always play as Dale Jr. or Rusty Wallace.
Yeah.
They did it too, or Sterling Marlin. If you had a beer sponsorship in the video
Yeah.
games, they didn't want the kids seeing that. So I remember the car would be just all red. It took all the design out. It just said Dale Jr. And I was
Right.
like, that's lame.
Meanwhile, Dad's sitting over there drinking beer every
So-
Sunday.
Oh yeah, my
watching-
dad's like sitting over there with this, Miller Lite. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this is some baloney.
I'll go back to the 1980 when Tim and I were in high school,
Yeah.
and Bobby Allison was driving the Miller American
No, High Life, yeah.
Highlight car. We had the beer. We were 17. We're drinking beer.
Sure.
We're ready to go. We didn't, there was none of that.
No, that's
You
not
were
that good.
expected.
You could wear that.
You were
shirt to school.
expected to drink that beer.
Yeah.
Okay, Jody Bearhunt says, "Hey guys, awesome show. Thanks for doing this every week." John Russell Norris says, "Good evening, everyone." And Nancy John says, "Hi all." So people are tuning in. This is time. If you have any questions for Kelly, she has the insight. She has the ear of the garage, and she knows what's going on, and she keeps up on everything. So if you want some insight, not from us, but from Kelly, the president of the National Motorsports Press Association, newly elected, chime in here. We'll get it there.
Are you going to Daytona?
Absolutely.
Of course.
All right.
I love that place. That's like my second
Magic.
home.
I love it there.
So you're working. So when you started getting writing awards, what was that like for you?
Very surreal. I tell people that the first year that it happened. So the first year that I won. Well, let me back up. I won an individual award in 2015, which was the very first award I'd ever written for. It was just a single individual award for a certain story. So
Can you tell us a little bit, just something?
about the story?
Yeah.
I honestly don't remember what it was. I'd have to go back.
Win an
and-
award for you? Don't remember?
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look at the
Okay.
story, or look at the
It's
trophy.
okay. I don't want to put you on the spot.
No, it's okay. I should have looked it up.
Sure.
So that was
I'm
2015.
gonna look it up.
2016, I came back and submitted stories again.
This is to
and
the NMPA,
this is yes,
the
to the
National
NMPA.
Motorsports Press Association.
At the end of the year, we have a contest. So there's writing awards, photography awards, radio broadcasts. Everybody's covered. So I came back in 2016, submitted once again, and I go to the awards and sitting there, and I'm like, and they call my name for this award. They call my name for so now I have like multiple trophies in front of me.
So you're like
and I'm
moving
like,
people's plates. Get
No,
out
no.
there. I need room here.
I'm like-
I'm stacking this. Can I get a Bellman card here?
No, wait. So
Hardware.
there were people that said at the end of
Who's
the
got
night,
a
right?
pickup
So
truck? I need to ride home. Go ahead.
there were people that said at the end of the night, because you got to remember, I'm in a room full of PR
Sure.
people
Yeah,
that know,
yeah.
like, hey,
Yeah.
hold it this way. And,
Oh, really?
Yeah, picking on me, like they know how to run victory lane. And so I'm sitting there, and I think I had like 3 or 4 individual trophies in front of me, and I will never forget this. Deb Williams, I love Deb Williams.
Esteemed
by the way.
writer.
Oh yeah,
history.
she's been here forever. Deb Williams is a friend, a mentor. She was sitting next to me, and she leans over to me, and she goes, "You might want to get your speech ready. I think you're going to win Writer of the Year."
And you said to yourself.
I didn't say anything. I about threw up in my mouth. I'm not making this up. I'm
Well,
not making
wait,
it. I
because-
will remember this to the day I die.
Wait, because you had to make a speech, or because you're getting the award?
Because I was getting the award.
Okay, got it,
Because I had been to these award banquets for a couple years
Mm-hmm.
now. I had won something the previous year, but for some reason, in that moment, when she said that to me,
Yeah.
I completely forgot that award even existed.
Right.
Until she said
Because
something
it
to
wasn't
me,
on
even
your
though,
radar.
right,
Yeah. You were
even
just,
though
you were
I
just happy with what you had there.
Exactly. I was so happy to be like, look at these stories that got acknowledged. I had completely forgotten that award even existed. And I honestly didn't even know how that award was determined.
Right.
Which is, it's based on
You got a pile of trophies.
Right,
in front
if
of
you win,
get the big one.
if you win individual awards, it's just like in racing. It's a point system,
Right.
right? No,
Okay.
honest to God, it's a point
So
system.
it's not arbitrary. It's based
So
on,
Deb was sitting there in her head
right, doing the
as
math.
I'm winning awards, knowing what the math
Can you
was.
imagine that?
So she leans over and says that to me, and I seriously, I about threw up in my mouth. And then I tell people all the
Hey,
time.
you made the final round of the chase.
I made it to Phoenix. And sure
Back
enough,
then it was probably Homestead.
Yeah.
it was
It's okay.
Homestead, which I much prefer, by the way, if anybody cares. I much prefer. And sure enough, they call my name and I win the award, and I have no idea what I said. I tell people all the time I blacked out. I have no idea exactly what I said that first year.
Right.
And if that wasn't bad enough, I came back and won it again the next year, and they still wanted me to give a speech the second year. And I'm like, I don't think you guys want me standing up here. I don't.
Did you say everything I said last year? And you
I should have.
All right, so
I
the
should
second year it's going down, you're getting all those awards, they're piling up in front of you. Did you go, okay, look, this might be happening again?
Oh yeah, like now
Okay,
at that
right.
point I was like,
I got
okay,
this,
this
I
is
got this.
now I see what's happening
Okay,
here. Yeah.
very
So I was
good.
a
That's
little
awesome.
more prepared for it.
Okay, so while we're talking about the NMPA, which is like I just remembered something. I won an NMPA award one time.
Oh, you just
I did.
remembered that.
I just remembered, yeah,
Okay.
when I was on radio.
Very nice.
Yeah, well, not me, but it was me in the, whatever, third place.
Good. I never.
Long future. Anyhow, I like it with another. Anyhow, so then the NMPA, which is like the granddaddy of all press associations. for
I mean,
motorsports.
I like to think so. We've got
But
some
no,
work,
it is.
we've got
It's-
some work to do, honestly, to try to I think get it back to that point. But
So you
yes.
joined that, and now, at what point did you did someone approach you like, hey, we need a president? Do you want to do it? And I'm asking you this because you say you're an introvert, but yet you're not. Just
Well,
I mean, you're not.
I
But you're putting yourself now. So when this is coming up, and you got nominated, and they voted, so your peers voted on this.
So a couple years ago, they asked me if I would be on the board of directors in a social media.
That's
role.
how it starts.
Right, and that's exactly how it started. They asked if I would come on and kind of bring back to life the social media pages, the Twitter page and the Facebook page. It kind of been dormant for a little bit. They weren't very active, so they asked me to come back on and just kind of because I'm younger
Sure.
in the membership, and they asked if I'd come on and take that on. So I said okay. So it started like that. I went through a couple years doing that. And then for 2021, I was nominated to be vice president.
Mm-hmm.
So I served as vice president in 2021.
Which is like you're obscure, you're kind of in the background, and
I mean,
a little bit, you're involved, yeah.
well, I would say yes, but I'm very proud right now because we just had our Hall of Fame induction
Saw that.
Sunday night,
Yep.
right? After the NASCAR Hall of Fame, we had our Hall of Fame. And I'm very, very proud because as vice president, I was not the only one, but I was in the group. I was on the committee that goes about selecting who goes on the ballot for our Hall of Fame.
Very good, yeah.
And I'm very, very happy with the ballot and who we
Good.
inducted this
And
year.
And this year was
Dale Earnhardt Jr.,
Yep.
Steve Kinzer,
nice.
Richard Howard,
Okay,
who saved Charlotte Motor Speedway,
Yep.
for those who don't
I
know.
knew that.
Herb Nab,
Another good. Yep.
legendary crew chief,
Yep.
and Dan Gurney.
Wow, that's a good one.
That's
wow.
good. So I'm very, very proud.
left field
Yeah. So I served as vice president last year, kind of got to see more about how it works and what all the responsibilities are. And we got into the fall of last year, and nominations started coming up, and I had said I don't want to be president. I don't think I'm ready for
Which
that.
means they're going to make you president.
So sure enough, multiple people came to me and said, I'm going to nominate you. And I was like,
Yeah.
all right, well, we'll just see what happens.
So how'd that make you feel? I mean, let's just go back. You're writing for Bleacher Report and obscure $400 a month, and now you're the
Well,
president.
Bleacher Report,
The
Speedway Media, Popular Speed. I mean, I did a little bit of everything.
Now your peers are nominating you for this presidency.
It's very surreal. It's very humbling. And again,
So I got to say this real quick. And yet you're second guessing yourself
Yes.
sometimes as if you made it.
I will be completely honest with you, probably because I'm drinking, but I will be
That's
completely
good.
honest with you. I have no self-confidence.
It blows my mind about you.
Well, you've made it. I'm gonna tell you that.
No, you
I
made
mean,
it. You
seriously,
made it.
I have friends in the industry that tell me, great job, or I come to you with
Right.
information on
Yeah.
my teams because you're so great, and it blows me away every time. I have no self-confidence, and I can admit that. I've got to work on that.
You
I don't know.
or
It
is
seems to
it
be
just
working for you.
or is it just you think you need to do better? Because I won't say I don't have self-confidence. I always feel like I can do better.
Oh yeah, there's a
Even
lot
at
of that too.
56
Yeah,
years
maybe
old,
that's
you know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe that's a good way to
And
look at
and
it.
it's not that I don't have the confidence to think I can do better. It's that I'm not a guy that tells people how great I am or what I've done. Or
I would like to think I don't do that.
know, it's
Instead,
just-
I'm more of the person that's like, was that good? I could do
Yes.
better. I need to be doing more.
Which is good
I need
because
to,
you just don't want to mail in and go, I got that, that's good.
Oh,
Because when you
no,
become complacent, then you're going to get mowed over.
I don't half-ass anything.
Cheryl Cullinan, she says, what a great storyteller. And to be transparent, that's my sister.
Oh,
And she's going for a doctorate in communications right now.
Very nice.
So
That's
a
awesome.
doctorate in communications is great.
Well,
story.
then she can have my job because I don't have a doctorate in
No,
anything.
she's good where she is. She's,
Okay.
she's a teacher. Ian Moy again says, ask Kelly if she was in the media center in Dover when the Jason Burdett impersonator answered questions post-race. Do you remember that? No,
Jason-
I remember that.
impersonator.
I remember that.
What was it?
I think I was there.
Impersonator?
Who's Jason Burdett?
Who's
He was at the time he was a crew chief,
yeah.
for Junior
And
Motorsports.
Someone came in and
First
said,
person.
And they won the race at Dover.
And he came in. Someone
And
said he was
someone,
in.
and someone came in and just sat down at the podium and started taking questions. And the NASCAR moderator
Right.
did not know the difference of whether it was Jason Burnett or not.
okay, now I know who Jason Burdett
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
they just a
is.
question.
I
So
gotta
they
put
started
face
the
in
press conference, the winning press
with
conference,
some guy out of nowhere.
and I'm like,
I smell a rat.
I'm pretty sure Jason Burnett is not dressed like that. So I'm pretty sure I was there. If I was not there, I was watching online, but I'm 99% sure that yes, I was there.
Tom
Because I
Beatty.
do remember that.
Tom Beatty said, Kelly, what story are you most proud of writing? Do you have one that sticks out?
Oh gosh, I don't know if I have a favorite, but I have a couple that stand out. I remember sitting in the Team Penske motor coach at Bristol a couple years ago, and I did a whole reflective story with Joey Logano. He was getting ready to make his 300th start in the series, and his honesty about, you know, hearing that he should be fired from Joe Gibbs and Roger giving him a second chance and just being in the sport for that long. So that one stands out. I got to spend 20 minutes with Jimmy Johnson in his motorhome. I think it was 2017. At the time, that 48 team was kind of, let's be honest, they were kind of going downhill, right? They were
Yeah.
trending downhill. So it was 2017 or 2018. And Jimmy had been asked about it constantly, about what's wrong with the team, yada, yada. And I went to Jimmy and his PR person. I went to Amy Walsh. And I said, I don't think we're asking the right questions. And I said, I would love to spend time with Jimmy and sit with him and talk about what it's like for him, a 7-time champion with 80-something wins, to suddenly be basically irrelevant. Because he was running 15th to 20th.
Right.
They weren't anywhere close to sniffing victory lane.
Yep.
So this is where I'm going to say, you're more than a fan. You know the sport.
Yeah.
When you start asking questions like that.
Yeah.
Not what's wrong with the team.
Right.
Uh-huh.
It's
Or
so
what-
easy
So
to
right,
do that.
so I
Right,
wanted
yeah.
to dig into
What's wrong?
I
You know,
wanted to dig
It's
in
like
for
there's
Jimmy Johnson.
a bigger picture here.
For Jimmy Johnson, again, you're a 7-time champion.
Yes.
You won 87
Yes.
races.
He's
You're
a goat.
You're used to being on top.
Yeah.
You came in right from day one in
Yeah.
2002 and were winning races and winning championships, and suddenly you're not. Suddenly, you're not leading laps, and suddenly you're fighting to finish 15th. And I said to Amy, I would love to sit with him and talk about what that's done to him, to his mind.
Right.
And he gave me 20 minutes and opened up about the dark days and questioning himself and, having to the team, the mindset of the team. So I'm very proud of that one as well. So I can
Yeah.
go on. I mean, there's a
But
couple,
no, the
but
thing is, you should be proud of is that you went with a different approach, and then Jimmy said, "Yeah, I want to
Yeah.
do that story."
I told Amy, I was like, look, we ask him every week because
That's
because he's Jimmy Johnson. He comes in every week, right?
Yeah.
Like that at that time when they were doing formal press conferences. I'm like, how many times are we going to ask him if they're going to turn it around? How many times are we going to
Right.
ask him?
That's irrelevant,
right?
right?
How many times are we going to ask him? Does he think he's going to make the playoffs, or can they win a race? How close are they to winning a race?
Okay, I got a question. First big interview you did where you were maybe been a little nervous.
Oh, that's a good one. I don't know, because again, being so reserved as I am, I get very nervous ahead of a lot of things.
Okay.
So I would say probably all of them at first.
Right.
Being in the media center at first, even though I didn't ask questions, just
Right.
being the first few times that I got, credentials to sit in a media center
Right.
was nerve wracking.
Interesting.
You know what? I'll answer it this way: Tony Stewart.
Okay.
And it
Okay.
wasn't a one-on-one. It was just Tony in the media center.
Okay.
Because it was one of still my first races.
And you know you better have a good question for him because he will.
And I'll say this: I think that was 2012 2012, 2013 it might have been.
So on one of your traveling road shows.
Right? So actually that would have been, it was Daytona, so that would have been me piggybacking off of the family vacation to Disney and saying, I'm going to Daytona.
Buy Mickey, buy Mouse
I was
House.
like, I've been to Disney every year since I was like
you're with
5
your
years
parents.
old. I don't need to do this. I'm going to
You're with
Daytona.
your parents.
Yes.
I'm out of here.
Literally, I'm like, you guys enjoy Orlando. I'll be back in a few days.
Take your
I'm going this way.
monogram mouse ears off
Yeah.
and head on in.
Because we always made a summer family trip to Disney.
Sure, okay,
because
got
my
it.
mom's obsessed with Disney, so we went
my
every
brother,
year
yeah.
since I was, again, like 8, 9 years old. And I'm like, I don't need to do Disney. I'm going to Daytona. So we planned the trip to where they went to Disney, I went to Daytona. So it was 2012, 2013. So again, I had only been credentialed maybe less than a handful of times. And Tony came into the media center, and he was doing a press conference. And I think I asked something about something to the effect of whether Matt Kenseth was going to be one of his biggest challengers, because Matt at that time was really strong on super speedways, but Tony I think was either the defending winner or a recent winner or something. And from the podium, Tony looked at me, and because he didn't recognize me,
Right.
so from the podium, Tony looked at me and said, "You might be new, but you're getting the hang of this already," or something like that.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. You nailed it.
I got one for you now. I think about it. Detractors, people that tried to. Because I went through this when I first started. You know, I came from a short track in Buffalo to NASCAR.com. That's a big jump.
Yeah.
And it was like, whew, okay, here I am. And like you, it took me a while to feel that I was not accepted, but okay, good. And I took an invitation to Ron Hornady's summer party or birthday party, which I won't talk about.
Yeah.
And another time was an invitation to Jimmy Johnson's house when we lived over on the lake. And Jeff Gordon was there and a bunch of others. And Gordon comes over and he's got his hand out backwards. There's things going on. He goes, "You're not going to write on any of this." I go, "I don't even know who the hell you are."
Yeah.
He goes, "Perfect." We walked away. So, that's the thing I always said. But for you, I mean, and I had detractors. I had people that terrorized me, that just absolutely just shredded me. And there's still one person that does.
Well, I have a love-hate relationship with Twitter because there's still people on there that say some, as you know,
sure, nasty things.
nasty, terrible things. But
Twitter's vile.
so when I first started out, I told you how you could just log in and write on Bleacher Report. So again, the internet and fan journalism and all that was becoming popular. I had a certain person that, by the way, today I think follows me on Twitter and interacts with me in a civil manner, but I'm pretty sure it's the same person that back then in 2000, this would have been 9, 10, 11, on Bleacher Report would just terrorize
Just wear you out.
everything I did.
could.
Not only that, they created a fake account and kind of like messed with my name, so it wasn't my exact name, but you knew it was me, so they messed with my name and then went online and found
So
the
you were
most...
saying something or?
No, they impersonator.
Yeah, they would, but they did it in a way.
That's when you're big time when you get impersonated.
They did it in a way where then their profile picture
Yeah.
was like a jacked up picture of like someone with like really buck teeth and like a, I don't want to offend anybody, but it was basically like a nasty looking hillbilly.
Right?
And like that was how they terrorized me and
Got
made
it.
fun of me that way. So yes, Bleacher Report was my first lesson in the internet and social media.
So,
You're
see-
gonna have to grow a thick skin.
Claiming to be an introvert, how did that affect you?
I mean, I quit for a while.
Yeah? Really? That's a shame.
I take a lot of things personally, even though people don't know me because you're behind a computer and you're doing it, but I take a lot of things personally because I want people to like me and respect me.
Yep.
And that's not what social media is.
No.
So I read the comments, people. I do. I read the comments, and it hurts. I mean,
Sure.
when the Bubba Wallace stuff happened last year, there were, I don't even want to call them fans. There were people online that were tagging me and other media people and just attacking us and saying we were race baiting, that we're personally responsible for this.
Yeah.
They were tagging our employers, saying
Wow.
we should be fired, that we're racist, blah. So it hurts. And like I said, I read it. How can you not? And I know people are like, well, don't read the comments, but I do read the comments
We're
because
sick. We
because
read the comments.
no, because there's other people in there that are genuinely
I
asking
get it,
questions
sure.
or genuinely
Right,
want to interact
right.
with you, and you have to
You
wade
have to
through
read
the
and see,
crap
yeah.
to get to them.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
It's like death. I say it's like death by 1,000 cuts. I know it's not supposed to bother you, but when you're constantly reading that you suck, or you did this, or you did that, it gets to you.
And my answer
I'm
is
human.
something like, hey, Santa's on Twitter. I hope you have a better day tomorrow. And then just move on.
I'm trying to get better at being like snarky about
Never
it.
let them see
Yeah,
you. Never.
I'm trying to get better at being
Never.
snarky.
Never.
Or my favorite thing is, I love GIFs, and I will spend way too much time trying to find the perfect sarcastic GIF to reply to people with.
Let someone else say it.
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah.
So you also so when did the Sirius XM NASCAR Radio? That kind of just so now you have a voice,
Yeah.
literally, and that's kind of an honor to be involved with that.
I think that came about, I had done some guest spots for a couple years where just a 15-minute, hey, we want to have you on and talk about whatever. So I'd done that for a couple of years. I believe the first year they asked me to start co-hosting was 2019. It might have been 2018, but it was 2018 or 2019. They asked if I wanted to come on and sign a contract and be in their rotation of guest hosts, and I was all for it. And
of course.
They keep having me come back
That's
every
good.
year.
So what happens when you get those callers? Because you don't know what's coming down the line. When I was at Sirius XM NASCAR Radio doing the post race and other stuff I did, they say Bob from New Jersey, point system. That's all you get.
Yep.
Point system. They come on and go, Crandall, terrible. Hate your writing.
You know what's funny? Wait.
Jackass, stick to the topic.
You know what's funny is I have not had any of those to my face.
Okay.
I've had a lot of great people that have
Sure.
called in and said, we love hearing you, we love when you're on.
Right.
I will say there was one caller, and I don't remember his name. He called into the morning show one day. I happened to be listening. It was a fantastic coincidence. I happened to be listening that morning, and the topic was Kyle Larson. I don't even remember what they might have been talking about Larson right before the championship or right after he won the championship. And this caller came in, and on the topic of Kyle Larson, decided to make it about me, and they said their whole complaint was that the media last year, or 2020, I should say, that in 2020, the media was so quick to say he should never get another chance and he's a terrible human being, blah, blah, blah. And when the host asked for an example, the only name they could think of was me. Well, again, I'm listening, and I got mad.
You were burnt, right?
I got
Did you
We
dial?
never said that on Pub Table Racers when you got that little bit of trouble.
It chapped my behind, okay? So I went to Twitter,
Oh.
and I started tweeting Mike Badley and Pete Pistone, and I'm like, I don't even remember what I said, but then that caller got looped into the tweets.
Of course.
So then I'm just like, I literally went back and linked everything I had written about Kyle
That you
Larson
said.
in 2021, and I'm like, or in 2020, and I said, show me where I said that.
Right.
The conversation ended real quickly after that.
Okay, so you I don't want to say call him up, but let him know that he was incorrect in his
Well, again,
assumption.
if you're gonna come at me, that's fine. I just don't like the personal attacks.
Sure. Okay.
And if I'm wrong, I'm trying to be more mature as I get older and accept. And if I'm wrong, try to admit that.
Right.
Oops,
But
I
if
gotta
you're
screw that
gonna
up.
come at me, you, as the youngins say, you better have the receipt.
Yeah. As the youngins say.
Yeah. Because I had the receipts, and it was very easy for me
Right.
to go to racer.com and punch in Kyle Larson in the search bar and link everything that I had written. So
I'm going to share something funny.
I'm gonna say, you want me to go? Like, I feel like we're off the
you're,
rails.
no, you're great.
No,
You're awesome.
no,
You're
this is great.
So I'm saying, this is awesome.
This
People
is
are watching.
awesome,
This
yeah.
is awesome.
The 4 people that are watching.
But I'm
how
just
many people
saying,
are
we
watching this?
didn't just Kyle Ryder. We were giving him a second chance right away.
The one company I noticed that did not say get out of here was Chevrolet. Chevrolet says, hey, we don't condone it. And I was like, I read it twice. I'm like, they didn't say we're done with you because they knew somewhere down the line they wanted to keep him in the camp.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look at all that.
That's,
but,
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That was like the one I kept up.
That ain't the way I heard it, but we can go with that.
I was gonna say I'd have to go back because I think it was a
Yeah.
little more than that, but I don't want to speak out of turn here.
So on a funny note, when I moved into my apartment, I moved in, saw 3 other, moved in, had no idea, and I'm there about a month or so. And one day I'm coming back, and all of a sudden I go, gee, I look like Jerry Jordan from Kicking the Tires walking by. I go, what the hell's Jerry doing here? So all of a sudden I walk to my place, and I'm on the lower level, and all of a sudden I go, hey Jerry, what are you doing here? He goes, oh, I'm here to see Kelly. I go, Kelly who? He goes, Kelly Crandall. I go, where's she live? He goes, well, he's 2 floors up above you. I go,
Literally 2 floors
so
above
if I
you.
shot a gun, the guy
don't do
between,
that.
I would go
Yeah.
right. I'm just saying. So I was like laughing. I go, oh hey, she goes, oh hey. So like we see each other.
Yeah.
a lot. So between us, there's a guy that I've nicknamed Toki the Bear. And
I'm
that's
gonna
all
feel
I'm
terrible if
say.
he's watching.
I'm pretty sure he's not going to be watching this.
Our apartment building's gonna be on fire when we go home tonight, Pac-Man.
Well, his might be, it sounds like.
I'm on the bottom.
Tokies
So
and
I laugh like all the places you move in and all of a sudden like somebody that you know and respect. Like so we see each other out. We like talk racing
And you go,
make jokes.
Jesus, what's going on up there?
So anyhow, but it's funny because like then there's other people in there that guys from Hendrick, hauler driver, other. So we start to find out all these people in this complex, but to have one straight up and it's Kelly, it's like that's cool. So we send each other texts like, hey, what's up, or something's going on. But
my favorite is when he texts me and he's like, hello up there. I'm like, you make it sound like I'm in a cloud or something. Like,
oh, it's hello up there.
Like I'm on a spaceship or something.
Did you get that couch yet?
Let's not talk about that. I haven't gotten my couch, but I finally got my Georgia National Championship T-shirt. So we got that.
So what's next? What's next? All the stuff you're doing. What would you like to do next? I mean, you've accomplished so much, and yet you don't think you've made it.
I don't feel like I've accomplished anything.
But maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a good thing because you're not going to go, I'm good, I'm content.
Right.
I'm just going to mail it in.
I worry about that all the time. I don't want to become content at all. I don't want to keep doing the same things. I don't want to do what everybody else is doing. So I push myself to always find different stories, different questions. So, but what's next? I mean, I would love to write a book or books one day. I don't know what I would write. I don't know if it would be something to where I write biographies or maybe I just start making up mystery stories and doing that. But I would love to, as an avid reader, I would love to walk into a bookstore one day and see something that I've written.
Can I tell you something? Having done that, it's pretty cool when you walk into like a Walmart or a Barnes & Noble, and of course, it's not, but you're going to look because you're writing, you go, oh.
No, I think that'd be so cool because I love reading and I love going to book sections, whether it's Walmart, Target, or going to a Barnes & Noble, so I'd love to do that. I think I would love to write biographies. Like I would love to write biographies of like folks in our sport or something. I need to make that happen. So I always say I'd love to do that. And something else that I think through the NMPA that I would be able to do, but I have to check. But I've said for a couple of years now, I would love to be on the voting panel for the NASCAR Hall of Fame.
I was going to ask you, so that's something, that would be a big honor, I'm sure.
Now, I would love to be in that room, and I believe as president of the NMPA that I will get to do that. I believe the NMPA president has a spot in there.
Okay. Nice.
I have to double check, but that might be my way in, because I have said for a couple of years I'd love to be in there. So
I would let you write my biography before I'd let you.
All right.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, because I know everything.
I think you might
embellish on
might
things?
Sugarcoat.
I don't want to sugarcoat it. You say no.
Well, there's any PR people or anything listening tonight. Let me write your driver's biography. How about that?
James Muth says, great show, 14 of us. John Russell Norris, great guest. Love her story. Need to bring her back. She tells the side people don't see.
For sure.
Kelly,
like I said, we're scratching the surface.
Tom Beatty, Kelly, write a story about Warren and Tim. No. Starting pub table racers. But as an author, it's kind of cool. You walk into Barnes & Noble and you see copies and you take them up to the desk and go, do you have a Sharpie? They go, why? I'm going to sign these for you.
Oh, yeah, that's me.
And I flip over the back and I go like this and they're like, oh, really?
Yeah.
But you sign it and then they put a sticker on saying, that's great.
By the way, like I said, write books.
When you said Barnes and Noble, I thought you were going to say bar.
No, Barnes and Noble. No,
Warren and Tim walking into a bar.
Speaking of books, my next children's book, Petey the Pace Car, I got a note yesterday. It's on its way. The first published copy is headed my way. So when I get that, I will.
I love that.
Yeah, it will. I'll be like social media.
I think that's at the top of my list right now in terms of things I want to do. Like I said, I want to be on the voting panel for the Hall of Fame. I'd love to do that. I'd love to eventually get in Racer Mag. Like I said, Racer Magazine hasn't used me, so I'd love to get in there. Maybe do a cover story. Like everybody always says, print. Because USA Today is awesome because we have a Racer.com has a content. I guess you would say a content sharing.
Yeah.
Deal with them.
Sure.
So I've seen my stuff now in newspaper, and that's just so cool, right? To actually see it in print. So I've gotten that, but I mean, there's even far out things that have nothing to do with racing, like I say it's little nerdy stuff. I'd love to like invest in like a women's soccer team or something. Like again, working in racing, I will never have the money to do that, but it's nice to dream.
Well, if you write that book, you might.
Right.
All right. Well, so
invest in a woman's racing team.
No, that's
John Norris says it would be a bestseller if you wrote a book. Steph Shute says, very interesting gal.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm glad people are tuning in.
No, it's good. Well, we're at the top of the hour, and you know what that means, now that you're in the broadcasting world, too. So hey, thank you for coming on.
I appreciate
Very
it.
It's
good.
a great story.
Very,
And,
very good. Very.
Thank you.
You have a great
We
story.
appreciate- Yeah,
And
and
by the
if
way,
you-
I think you made it.
yeah, we think
I hope so.
you've made
I
it.
do.
But if you want to
Well,
operate,
so to tie in Team Penske real quick.
Go ahead.
Sure.
To tie in Team Penske, when I knew I was at least on the radar, is like I said, Tony Stewart said that about me. It was actually the biggest thing to me. I will always remember this, and I have a screenshot of it as well from the transcript. When Brad Keselowski won Charlotte in 2013,
Okay.
the fall race, he came into Media Center, did his winner's press conference. I raised my hand and asked a question, and because you say your name.
Yep.
For those who don't know, you say who you
Kelly
are and
Crandall
who you
always
write
say
for. As I'm saying my name and who I write for, he gets this weird look on his face as I start to go into my question. And I ask my question, and before he answers, he says, Kelly Crandall. He said, I've read your stuff before. It's nice to meet you. And he said that to the entire media center.
And in the media center, when
And-
something like that happens,
And that's when I was like,
That's when you have the suck
That's
it
it.
moments.
yeah.
Right?
No, that's when I was like, okay, I think
That's
He didn't-
I went
he
off the
didn't
rail,
say-
but
he didn't say I read your stuff and you suck, so I knew
no,
it was
no,
okay.
no. You were like telling everybody else in there.
Yeah, I mean, people came up to me
Boom.
afterwards,
Yeah.
and that was great. So
Right.
But now you have that moment, and they call on you, hey Tim, how you doing? And it's a moment because that means they know who you are. That's
listen,
great.
as Marty Smith told
You've
me
been recognized.
years ago, it takes a lot of confidence to stand up in that media center, in any media center,
Yep.
and raise your hand and ask these guys a question and
Yeah,
be confident and well thought out about what you're going to say.
Especially after.
and then be prepared for their answer, not knowing what mood they're in.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Because
Especially
they could be off and they can make you look like an a-hole
Right.
in 1 second because they had a shitty qualifying.
They had a shitty day.
shitty day or something.
Right.
And again, I mean, no, I don't
bunch
know
of
about other
spoiled
people.
brats with a bunch of
Yeah.
money.
Right.
And again, I don't know about other people, but it's intimidating whenever you got to raise your hand in a room
Oh, yeah.
full of anybody,
Yeah.
right? And to do it in a media center with a race car driver, and also it's being streamed online and fans are watching. Like I said, I will never forget that. Marty Smith said that to me one day. He's like, it takes a lot of confidence to stand up and know what you want to ask and be confident about it and ask good questions.
So when I worked with Casey Mears at Childress, he hated Jeff Gluck. Because Jeff Gluck said some stuff about him, like he doesn't deserve a ride, he doesn't deserve this, and I'm like, who are you to judge? You're not paying the bills. So we're at Texas, and Casey did something, I qualified well, whatever, and he goes, Jeff Gluck, and Casey goes, oh, you, I want to talk to you after this. And I'm the PR guy, and I'm standing off the side, and I'm standing like this, and I'm like smiling.
Yeah.
Because it's time for those two to hash it
Oh,
out.
yeah.
And, Casey, whatever, but...
I've never had one of those.
But I'm
So.
just telling you can have that moment where drivers, they do read.
Yeah.
You know,
And
I
someone
never
does tell
understood.
you that. Remember.
And I know we're going long here, but
Yeah.
I've never understood the people that think it's a good thing or like a badge of honor when like a Tony Stewart or somebody would get mad at you. Like
No.
people, I never
I'm
understood that.
mortified.
That is not a badge of honor. That
No,
means you didn't
mortified.
ask a well thought out
Right.
or
Sure,
and
sure.
like. So for me, I've never had that with any drivers, and I take that as a badge of honor instead of having them get mad at me.
Right.
Well, keep doing what you're doing. Monica Rogers is a great show as always. Tom Bates is a great show. Lance says what we always say at the end of the show, shall we?
Shall we?
Shall we? Thank you very much. Continued success. Say good night, Dick.
Good night, Dick.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Wow. Hey, another great show.
Great
Thank
show.
you so much, everybody,
Yep.
for tuning
Enjoyed
in.
it.
We appreciate it. We do this every Tuesday night. And Warren, I think the guests we've had have been fantastic.
Phenomenal.
And the people that are following us, we appreciate it. We're reaching 42,000 people a month. Can you believe that? And we appreciate you watching. And
Right. We're having fun. Hope everybody else enjoys it.
that's it. And it's just a fun show. Bucket of beer. Guys sitting around talking about it. So keep tuning in. We appreciate it. Check out our store and everything. But we appreciate you people. And we will see you next week. Right, my friend?
Yes, sir.
All right. See you next week.